Oh, no, no, no. We are not done yet. No, we are not done yet. We thought the election was the big news of the week. No, we got more big hits coming tomorrow. It's back to work tonight, though, guys. Wednesday evening. Election is almost behind us. I know this stuff never ends these days, but it's back to work tonight. Time to get ready for Thursday. We had some really nice moves down in the markets today. Anytime we see big moves like we saw today, we got some nice juicy trades setting up for tomorrow. I have a bunch of great trades I'm tracking. I'm going to go over all my favorite trades in tonight's video to make sure you have a game plan to make some money tomorrow. Before we jump in, though, and get this party going tonight, make sure you subscribe to our channel. That way you don't miss tomorrow night's video upload. And as always, if you guys enjoyed the video tonight, do me a favor, will you hit that like button? I appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting this YouTube channel. But enough of the intro, right? We got some more big news coming tomorrow. Got some really big trades on our radar for tomorrow. Well, as you can see here, everything is bearish here today. That kind of Bitcoin, the whole FTX kind of bailout or rescue plan kind of fell apart here today and dragged everything going lower, right? The news media was talking about a red wave on the election last night. It turns out, unfortunately, the red wave was in the markets here today. All kidding aside, though, I know it's kind of a sore subject right now. Bear markets right now, very strong bear markets going lower. Got some big moves going lower, strong moves going lower. Anytime we see big, strong moves going lower like this, we know everybody's trying to short these bounces right now. The difficult part for tomorrow is we have a lot of different areas to short the bounces, and you know me, I'm not much of a predictor, right? I don't really believe in predicting where the market's going to go. Tonight, though, I'm going to give you a game plan so you know where the best entry is going to be, so you know when to pull the trigger to short those bounces. So we're going to cover a lot of those scenarios here tonight. And the buyers, the buyers are not totally beat right now. We get some big news tomorrow. There's definitely some life left in these buyers. I can see two basic reversal patterns. We'll talk about some reversals. Of course, we'll talk about the buy side a little bit here tonight on the video as well. But sellers, we have to assume right now, are in full control. The key is picking the right spots to get those nice low risk, high reward trades for tomorrow. So we're going to cover that here tonight. Make sure to game plan for tomorrow. Now, speaking of tomorrow, though, tomorrow's not your average Thursday. The hits just keep coming, right? It seems like we've been on a wild ride. It seems like ever since the CPI report in October, we've been through FOMCs and earnings reports, and of course the election, which is still very much, I guess, undecided at this point here. Who knows, right? Who knows? Anyways, all kidding aside, though, the big news tomorrow, everybody's watching that CPI report, right? Everybody's watching that CPI report, and let's face it. The last few months, the CPI comes out the second week of each month. I would give you some homework tonight. I would definitely go back over the last couple months and just see for yourself how volatile, how violent, and really crazy these CPI reports can be. So our job tonight is to put together a kind of resilient or flexible game plan, right? Because trying to pick tops and bottoms in these markets right now are going to be difficult. That CPI report makes my job tonight pretty difficult because we may see a lot of whippiness around that CPI number tomorrow. Be very careful overnight. If the markets are not moving well overnight, remember, trading is a lot like riding a bicycle. It's easier when it's moving. It would not surprise us if the markets are slow overnight, so be careful overnight. And then generally speaking, by about 8:40, 8:45, maybe the latest 9 o'clock Eastern time, that kind of whipsaw will wear off on that CPI. And so my game plan for tomorrow is get there early, update things that happen overnight, be prepared to sit on hands a little bit around that CPI number, and then really try to find our trades right after 9 o'clock, 9:15, right, to the rest of the session. Now, it's also important to remember tomorrow, too, that towards the end of the day tomorrow, we might get a bit thin in the volume tomorrow because, of course, Friday is a holiday, right? It's a federal holiday. It is Veterans Day. And I say that because there'll be no video newsletter tomorrow night. There'll be no newsletter tomorrow night. We will not have prep for that Friday, November the 11th, right? So find your favorite veteran, wish them a happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there if I don't see you tomorrow morning in our trade room. So CPI number tomorrow, that's the big news tomorrow. be careful, please. Be careful, please. Give it some time to come out. Don't force stuff overnight. And again, I'll miss you guys tomorrow night on the video newsletter. Very happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there. We'll come back next week. Don't worry, I'm not going too far, right? We'll come back next week and we'll crush it next week. Next week is the last full week of the month, really, because you got the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, that fourth week of the month of November. Anyways, back to our charts though right now. Everything's ready right now. I'm going to cover all my favorite trades in tonight's video, so make sure you watch all the way to the end of this because you'll learn something new throughout each of these charts here tonight. Different trade ideas, different advanced tactics, and I do try to save the best stuff all the way to the end, so I'll give you a reason to stick around all the way to the finish. S&P's ready, Nasdaq's ready. We'll finish up on the oil here tonight. A couple things. First of all, here's some housekeeping issues. This, of course, is a 10,000 tick chart. You can see all the time frames in the upper left-hand corner. These will all be tick charts. And also be aware, too, the S&P and the SPY are very similar to the NASDAQ and the QQQs. So pretty much everything I talk about right now on the Emini S&P can be applied to the NASDAQ and vice versa. So just keep that on your radar. Now, with that said, there are three key insights here that tipping us off to where the best trades are likely going to be for tomorrow. The first one, of course, is that strong move lower. Anytime we see a strong move in one direction, you guys know this if you watch these videos, I want to go out and basically and find resistance levels, and we know that there's probably going to be a bounce. The bears will come in, they'll want to sell high, and the objective is to go back down to retest that low. Now, once they get back to retest the low, then it's kind of show me some more information. Do we bounce off that low and go back to take out that high and possibly create a range down here? Or do we end up blowing through that low, continuing down to our next big objective, which, as we talked about in last night's video newsletter, is that 37.04 and a quarter. It's the low from the FOMC bloodbath that we saw, seems like forever ago, right? But a little bit over a week ago here. Actually, 1 week ago, right? Last Wednesday. So that is what a strong move down tells. Tells the strong move says expect bears to be shorting those bounces for a retest of that low and then possibly reversal. That's one of the reversals on my radar for tomorrow, or a breakout going lower. So obviously sellers would love to sell into that bounce. As I mentioned before, though, it may be difficult to kind of predict how far this bounce might go because, we have that CPI report bearing down our neck here for tomorrow. And that, of course, brings me to that second clue here, which is that big, beautiful resistance trend line coming down overhead. We were joking around about these, calling these, bull repellent, right? This is kind of it'll keep the bulls away, right? These big strong trend lines coming down like that. I mean, think about it, right? If I'm a seller right now, is there any better place to sell than off that nice trend line for a nice big juicy target back to retest the low? Now that area, remember, if we get those really deep pullbacks like that, that's where you got to be careful with timing the entry. So we'll talk about that, of course, as we go deeper here tonight. And the third one is a range breakout. We talked about this last night a bit, I believe, or it could have been before that. Anytime I see a range and I see a breakout of that trading range, right? We know those ranges, they love to come back and act as resistance for things like a breakout pullback, right? So we know that area. And so when you see all this stuff put together, right? Strong move down, trend line coming over, bear range for a breakout. You can see why, right? Bears looking to short in here, bears looking to short in here, right? Short in here. And again, we have to be aware that depending on where we get the entry signal, that will determine which entry pattern that we want to use on this. So there's a lot of different ways that we can sell these bounces. I do want to talk about tonight too how to buy this market as well, because I do think there are some profitable trades right now buying this thing as well. But let's talk about the sell side first, and then we'll go into more details on some reversals and some buy side trades here as well. Three different areas for me to get short. Most important thing right now is that strong move down. So anytime we see that strong move, if we can pop up, I would love to, first of all, get some buyers coming in and see if they'll try to buy this thing going higher. And they might, right? They might. And we'll talk about if they do here in a moment. But if I can get these buyers to come in and try to buy this thing, and if they begin to struggle going higher, remember that strong move down is going to want to retest. Now think about those buyer stops are. Think about where their pain is, right? Think about where their exits are and look for that nice, easy failure setup going back down below that moving average. Think about it, right? Every time we pop up, buyers will try to buy that pullback. It's a very strong move down. We can trap those buyers in, use their stops as fuel to run lower. The next thing too is don't forget, as long as I can get in before we get too close to that retest of that low, I like to use what I call a failure into pullback combination, right? We talk about this in the free trading course. You guys are learning that stuff if you're taking our free classes right now. Failure into pullback combo, right, as we go lower. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind on this is if we were to, for example, let's say the market made a relatively strong pop-up, right? Kind of clears through, doesn't go all the way to that trend line, right? But, you know, it's a decent pop higher here. Oftentimes, the moving average will begin to accelerate going higher there. If it really pops up really strong, what you got to remember, what you want to remember is that, you know, strong moves, they want to be retested. So if it really pops up really strong now, kind of above some of these key levels of resistance now we have to expect buyers are going to try a little bit harder, right? Because the momentum now is much stronger. This is where we look for those two try failures, right? Very simple. Let the buyers try twice now, right? That way there's more stops down here and I can use those stops as fuel. Now, a heads up on these, oftentimes when I get these two try failures, the market, because it traps in so many buyers, the market will oftentimes shoot and run back down. And we just simply don't get that, you know, kind of failure into pullback that I was talking about earlier. It's a good thing, right? Because if you're in that trade already, you're getting a nice big green number on your screen. What I want you to be prepared though is if it does just collapse and run back down, where do the bears want to get? They want to get back down to retest that low. So now we do is we look for traps, right? These are very, very common that follow the two try failures, right? And again, you guys learn all about traps, right, inside of that free trading course, right? So now it's a deeper pullback. The buyers try a couple times now, and then we let it roll over and we find that trap right before we go. Okay, one more pullback, I have two more pullbacks I want you to be aware of here. Let's talk about if the CPI really comes out wild, right? Comes out really wild here. Let's say it really jumps up and really races, right? And runs higher. Again, lot of reason to like these areas of resistance overhead. But what's the problem though? The problem at this point now is this will feel very much like a reversal. And so what you want to do in these situations, if it really pops up, okay, there's two ways you want to short this, okay? These are really, really important, and so make sure you pay attention. The first one's going to be a crown reversal. Okay, it's very similar to the two try failure, but it's one try for the buyers, two try for the buyers, and a trap high. Now, why a trap high? Well, because as the market, most importantly, I want to be in short as high as I possibly can. Okay, that's why I trap high. Okay, the real reason why you want to trap high is because sometimes what happens is it'll come down and they'll try it again. Right? So I want to be in the money on that trade, stop moving down to point of entry, taking a quick profit target before those buyers can get back in and try to take my head off, right? That's why you want a trap. And again, the key here is the strength, right, of that move. Now, oftentimes what happens is they'll go up and they'll retest that high now. Because as we said before, anytime we see a strong move in one direction, we expect to pull back and a retest. Just like a strong move down tells us to expect to pull back and a retest. It's the same idea going higher. Now, if we do see that retest, right? Again, that crown reversal, let me simplify this, right? If we do see this thing run higher, right? They do pull back and get that retest of that high. Now we can be a lot more aggressive, so to speak now, because now the buyers are taking their profit. Now what I'll do is I'll use that same two try, one try, two try. Again, we're still pretty bullish at that point, even though we're still looking very good at an area of resistance. And think about where their pain is. Think about where those stops are. And this is where the fun begins here. We get that nice juicy signal candle, which you guys learn about in the free trading course. And then as the market begins to dump down, we start looking for a re-entry. Where do the bears want to go? They want to go back and retest the low. Now, we got our short off the high. That's great. That's gravy, baby. Now what I want to do is go in and find a new channel. Okay, draw the trend line off that low. Mark it up around that high, right? So I drop backwards and then look left and repeat after me. You want the first test, right? You want the first test off the high of that channel. And this could be any of the entry setups, entry patterns we talk about in the free course. Could be a trap, a failure, a pullback, a strength move, going lower, right? Same setups you guys are learning in our free trading course, which reminds me, I know that most of you guys and gals are taking the free course, making money on these setups right now. But if you're one of the few people who haven't taken that free class yet, what I'll do is I'll put a link up here for you in the upper right-hand corner. Grab that link, take the free trading course. The strategy that I teach in that free class will show you a simple trick so you know exactly where the most likely winners are going to be that day. And more importantly, where the losses are likely to be so you can take the winners and avoid the losses. If you're missing the best trades right now, if you're taking too many losses, take that free course. It is perfect for someone trying to make the jump into full-time trading. You're going to love it. And let me know if you have any questions. Once you get in there, I'll be here to help out every step of the process. Okay, so grab that class. That way you'll know what a crown reversal looks like, failures look like. Okay, there's one more here. There's one more pullback that I want to be aware of. And I also want to talk about if we go back down, right, and buy off that low. Why don't we do that right now on the NASDAQ? Okay, S&P looks pretty good. NASDAQ is very much the same exact situation. That's why I said earlier, be aware, right there. Right, there is oftentimes some very big overlap with the NASDAQ. Not always, right? But there oftentimes is. So 3 basic clues here, very much the same, right? Strong move lower says sell it and retest that low. Resistance trend line coming down overhead is a beautiful spot for short sellers. And again, you got that range breakout, which says possibility for a breakout pullback. Not a lot different. And again, on both the S&P and the NASDAQ for tomorrow, what is the big variable? The big variable is that 830 CPI number coming out, and possibly the election results. Although I think at this point, the markets probably have priced that in. They're pretty wise, these markets we trade every day. Anyways, there's one more pullback I want to go over here right now, and this is one of the more frustrating ones, right? It's the V-top, right? The V-top or the V-bottom. You knew I wouldn't forget that, right? So again, we've talked about 3 different ways to sell the pullback. Let's say, for example, though, we pop up, right? This could be CPI number. It could be anything, right? It could be any reason at all. We pop up, and now instead of the, right, and again, this could be here, it could be here, it could be here, okay? I want to make that very clear here. I'm simply trying to illustrate this and make it easy for you understand the idea behind it. Now, we pop up, we run into overhead resistance levels. Now, we don't get 1 try, 2 try back down, right? We don't get a crown reversal. The market simply pops up and slams right back down again, right? And begins to grind down. V-tops, unless you're selling into this, right? Unless you're scaling into that position, which requires quite a bit of risk tolerance, I might add. Not for the faint of heart and not for a new trader whatsoever, right? But if V-tops and V-bottoms are one of the most difficult markets to trade. Very difficult to know how far this thing will go, right? So anyways, the long story short is that you could definitely trade this. We know where the market wants to go. It wants to go back to retest that low. That's the easy part. Now find that new channel. Remember, draw channels backwards. Mark it off of that low first, find that high, and just like I talked before, right? Find those prior swings, and you want any good entry setup off the high of that channel. Does that make sense, right? It slams higher, and this could easily be the CPI number, right? The CPI number comes out, starts grinding down, right? 9 o'clock, 9:15 to 9:30, and then all of a sudden we get that little pop and grind channel going lower, trap, failure pullback combo right off the top of that channel. Again, it's not my favorite trade, although I do like trading those. They're very easy trades once you learn not to chase it, right? Don't chase it lower. Wait for that pop up and that little V top, right? And then grab it as it comes. And again, you're going to want this entry before we retest that low. All right, that takes care of the short side if the market does bounce here. Now, one thing you want to be kind of aware of on this is that these could easily keep grinding down here. You look at some slower time frame charts right now, like a daily chart, and you will see right away the bears. I would imagine the bears have 10,000 on their mind here. 10,000 is that prior high, that prior COVID high. For right now, though, 636 right now. 10,000 is a ways away here. Probably not going to happen this week. Maybe not even this month. But if you look at like a daily chart or a weekly chart right now, you'll see 10,000 seems to be a nice, comfortable spot there for us. That was that pre-COVID high. So bears want to get down to that 10,636 level. I gave the level on the S&P as well. If we keep grinding down, what do we do? Basically what I do is I keep on marking these prior swings. I keep waiting for that pullback. I keep trying to rope in those buyers above the moving average, and I keep looking to short this thing right back down in, right? If it really pops up, I go 1, 2, back down, find that channel, and back over. If it really rips, right? If it really rips higher, it's a crown reversal, or it's a retest and that double top reversal from there. Let's talk about the buy side now. Okay, so again, even if we keep going lower here, it's kind of the same game plan. How do we be a buyer on this? Well, that trend line overhead is a big problem. So both the S&P and the Nasdaq, and for the most part, oil has the same thing going on, right? That big trend line overhead. It's why I think even the deepest pullbacks right now are going to be seen as a selling opportunity. Now, the only way we can really be a buyer on this, there's two ways to be a buyer on this as far as what I can, from what I can tell. I don't want to pick the bottom on this right now because it could easily keep on bleeding lower. The election's not over yet. The whole FTX Binance thing could keep on deteriorating. And by the way, who would have ever thought the crypto markets would be responsible for dragging down the biggest markets in the world, right? It's a different world. I feel like the old man right now. Get off my lawn, kids. Anyways, all kidding aside, so how do we buy it? We're gonna have to get up. We're gonna have to hold. Right? Hold some pullback and really begin to blast, right? They're going to have to get this thing way up. The buyers are going to have to hold that pullback, and we're going to have to see a very strong reversal coming off of that low. Now, it is definitely possible. Tomorrow, again, CPI number is no joke, right? This, it could be called Hurricane CPI tomorrow morning. If they do hold that low and they begin to jump going higher, well, hey, it's not likely right now, but it's definitely possible. I can mark off that high. I can mark off that low, drill down, find those prior swings. And on this type of move, what you're almost always doing here is with that strong move going higher, and we know where they want to get at that point, we're getting back below the 21 moving average. I'm looking to trap in some of those bears. And just before, use those stops as fuel to retest that high. And then, of course, the buyers, right, if they get their way tomorrow, they'll come right back up and take out these big highs right up overhead. It doesn't seem likely right now, but on both the S&P and the Nasdaq, if they can get a strong push up, right, if they can get this into rip higher here. Remember, if they rip higher, though, there's a very good chance we go 1, 2, crown reversal, back down again. But again, if they rip, they pull back, and they blast going higher again, okay, that's the writing on the wall now. Mark that high, mark that low, and we then look to dig in, right, and get in off the low of that channel. Again, right now, doesn't seem likely, but a lot can change at 8:30 tomorrow morning, and of course, overnight with the election stuff trickling in here more. So be aware of that as we go higher. Now, another one of my maybe not favorite trades, but one of my really the only other long trade right now is what we call a double bottom reversal. These are pretty simple. Right? Remember how I said earlier, if we jump up and really go higher here, look for that double top, and once they retest it, right, then it's 1, 2, back down again. It's the same basic idea, right? So we're anticipating this thing to pop up, anticipating these buyers to come in, try and fail, and go back down to retest the low. Once we retest the low, all the smart money, they're taking their profit way up here. Sorry, they're getting in up here, right? They're taking their profit down here. So now who's left to sell down here, right? These are the rookies. These are the small accounts, right? They can't protect themselves very much. Tight stops, right? Not much they can do to defend themselves. So now we try to rope in those bears, right? We look for the rookie sellers, and you know they're rookies because those are the only folks that are selling down there. There isn't like this some big, asterisk on their orders on the exchange, right? We know they're rookies because that's what rookies do, right? They sell low, they don't sell high, right? We've all been there, I'm sure, at one point in our careers. Then again, we know where those stops are, right? And we can now buy into those stop losses. Now, what you got to be careful on these reversals is that the market's going to want to go where? It's going to want to go back up and take out these highs. And a lot of times this becomes a big trading range. And so you really want to, remember, I talked about earlier, whenever I want to sell as high as I can. Right? Remember I said earlier, right? When you're trying to pick a top, you want to sell as high as you possibly can because as it goes lower, you're going to have buyers coming in, right? So like I mentioned on that crown reversal, I really need to be buying low here. All right. We don't want to be chasing after it, right? If it goes without you and you're not in this thing already, you should be cashing paychecks as the market goes back up to these highs overhead. Okay. This is not the time to go, oh, shoot, I missed it. Jump in, because what's probably going to happen up there is we're probably going to see a range become right in play there. And this is exactly what we do it again. Right, we now get those buyers come in, they're late to the party, let them try a couple times and sell it back down again, right? These types of ranges happen all the time, all right? So just be aware of that. We took the short, the long side there as well, and potentially looking at one big trading range, buy low, sell high. We definitely have a more bearish environment right now, though, so it's a little bit better to keep on selling those pops. Again, double bottom reversals are there, but make sure you buy as low as you can. That way you're not walking into a trap. I should also mention, too, let's say, for example, here, the market pops up, we get that 1, 2, right, or whatever pattern we get, and move back to that low, and the market says, no, we're not done yet, right? And they keep on going. How would you sell that, by the way, right? Like, what do you do at that point, right? So we don't get a reversal off that low. No, the bears come in and they're like, no, we're not done yet. We're going back to October's low, right? We're going to the FOMC lows. Let's say now they pull back to the 21 and they jump off that 21 moving average, and they very obviously clear right through that low here. Okay, now be careful. Sometimes what'll happen is it'll bounce back up, right? So you can't exactly predict it, right? You can't, remember, you don't want to be that rookie getting caught the stop run at that low. But if they can hold on to it, if they can muster out that breakdown going lower, now it's pretty easy. Now we draw a trend line off these new lower lows. And what I always do is I always go, okay, find that channel there. And then, like I showed you earlier, kind of think about where there could be a bigger, see what I'm doing right there? Right? A bigger channel right there. And then it's a matter of just getting the pullback. It might go to the bigger channel, get that pullback, trap in those bulls, because remember, the easiest money you're going to make in trading is running stops. Stops are fuel that will fuel that first target. And again, on this one, as long as we're getting a good, strong push to that low, that becomes another strong move. Anytime we see a strong move down, right, what are we looking for? We're looking for a retest of that low, right? Once we retest that low, 1, 2, double bottom reversal. We talked about this before. Okay, so keep an eye on that. Another one I would definitely anticipate, if they do get that run up, buyers fail, right? And now we go back to that low a day again. But now we don't get that pullback, right? The market doesn't pull back and jump, right? That's called a 1, 2, 3 breakout, right? Mark that low, mark that high, and then sell that channel, right? A lot of times what happens is with that momentum is so strong, nobody dares to buy it or even take profit, and the market oftentimes will begin to grind and grind and grind. These should quickly become one of your favorite chart patterns. My buddy Cam, his favorite dance move in my trade room every morning. Cam, if you're out there listening right now, I got you, brother. That pop and grind, right? That pop and grind. So it pops down. Again, the most important thing here is it clears through and it feels like it's kind of tied to a cinder block, right? It kind of keeps on grinding down. It'll barely get up around that 21 EMA, right? Once you got that pop and grind, you know what it is, right? The writing's on the wall now. All we need to do now is find that new channel, right? Keep shorting those pops here. And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get a nice big bounce off CPI or something like that early tomorrow. Markets are grinding down. We're finding those bear channels as we go. And who knows, right? Who knows? We might get a little Veterans Day surprise here, finish off that big low, that FOMC low at that 636 level. All right, I think we've covered a lot of the scenarios here right now. Again, the hardest part for tomorrow, by far, the hardest part for tomorrow is we have that CPI number tomorrow. So we'll see how that treats us tomorrow morning in our trade room. And last but not least here, right? Last but not least here, over on the oil, I will try not to repeat myself too badly on this. There's a lot of obviously similarities here on oil. Strong move down for the bears. We're looking to short some bounces right now. Range breakout. This range right there, it could be a bit higher there too. This is probably one big range looking at right there. So, again, it's a lot of this is very similar. The only thing that we don't really have the same thing about, look at this drop here on oil, a 4-hour chart. A 4-hour chart does this very good justice. Now, if you were to go out and kind of draw that trend line down, right, you can see that trend line there. So there is a trend line there, right? Trend line there. You could also see too, take that low all the way up, right? If you put it all the way up, like think about how many sellers have to be looking at that channel area right there, up around that area, right? Now, obviously, that's a pretty big pullback. That's a pretty big pullback, right? What is that? 85.30. That's a pretty big pullback. But again, anytime we see, look at the size of this move, right? Look at the size of that move. So we always talk about, anytime we see a strong move down tells us to look for the pullback and a retest of that low, right? What is a big move down? You could easily look at this chart right now and say, we really haven't got any big pullbacks here right now. And that is a very big clue because, if I was a seller right now, you might come in tomorrow and go, I'm with you on the bearish, but I can't sell down here. This is too low, right? I want to sell at a higher price. I want to get a better value for my entry. You can easily see it could be right above this highs right here, right? 88.52. That's a great spot there. Get that little trap right above that channel. We do a lot of these types of trades in our morning trade room. On a much faster time frame, right? This is a 1500 tick chart, right? We'll use a much faster time frame, but this is it's a trap, right? It's a bull trap. So really great spots there. So you want to be aware of that, right? Be aware of that. It's a big move without any real deep pullback, and tomorrow might be that deep pullback that we get here, right? So we pop up, buyers come in. I'll try not to take up too much of your time here on this. Pop up, right? Buyer failure into pullback combo, right? We really pop up, right? Remember, lots of momentum at that point now. It's a 1, it's a 2, it's a find that new channel, right? And back down, same idea. If we were to, for example, right, if we were to kind of pop up and really blast, right? Really strong blast here. It's news-based, right? It's at a news. Right now, oil is reacting mostly to OPEC and China, right? Not a lot of new stuff there, right? OPEC and China. If China talks about easing COVID restrictions, if OPEC talks about tightening up their supply, it could easily get that big jump up, and the big jump up may not last very long, right? But because of that really strong punch going higher, if it really punches higher, that's where I go looking for those crown reversals, right? Because if we see a really strong run, what's going to happen is they're going to want to retest that high. right? And I don't want to sell it as it goes lower because more buyers are coming in because they want to buy low, right? So I have to make sure. Does that make sense? It's really, really important to understand that. When it really rips higher and I want to be a seller, I have to sell as high as I possibly can. And it's tough, right? Because you can't really tell how far the market will keep going, right? Sometimes it keeps going and going and going, right? So you got to time that entry problem, that crown reversal. Or again, the easier one is they pull it back, they retest, and then we get, mission accomplished, right? The buyers come in, they buy low, they take their profit at the highs now. The inexperienced traders come in, they try a couple times, we slip our orders right underneath, right, and look for that sell back down again. And again, these ones oftentimes get really, really good because now the market really knows exactly where it wants to go, and we can go out and find those new channels, and we can grab that first test off of that high, right? So keep that in mind on the oil for tomorrow. If we keep going lower, right? Keep going lower, keep waiting for that bounce. And again, I am not opposed to being a buyer right now, but right now the odds are not very good for these buyers just yet. If they can rip it higher, if they can pull it back, if they can hold that pullback, and remember, they really have to blast, right? They really have to show us a real strong move higher because remember, they're going to want a double top. Right? They're going to want a double top and then we can sell it back down again. But if they blast right through it, right? Yeah, then it's a reversal, right? For whatever reason, right? Now we find that high, find that low, and we start digging in on the faster time frame, finding entries off that channel. Okay? Again, is it likely? Doesn't seem very likely, but who knows, right? Who knows? You never know. Remember, it's not in my eyes, it's a bit of a waste of time to make predictions because then you only have one way to make money. If you prepare for many different scenarios, just like any other professional athlete, professional singer, professional performer, a trial attorney, you want to kind of, game plan different scenarios to make sure you have a plan to make profit in any scenario here. And then, of course, again, the double bottom reversal. Right? They go up, we sell off that high, we trap in, right? 1, 2, we're back up. Or does it hold and break through it? If so, find that new channel and don't miss that first test, right? Whether it's going to be a pop and grind, right? Going lower, right? It's one of those two is usually going to be the one you're going to get there. All right, guys. Hey, I would love to know what you think, right? Am I on the right track? Am I way off in my analysis? I would love to know what you think about these markets. Do me a favor, please. Drop me a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to know what your opinion on this. Do you agree? What do you think is your opinion for tomorrow? I'd love to know more of your feedback as well. And also, too, don't forget, you can always drop any other questions in that comment section below. All right, guys. Oil's ready. NASDAQ's ready. S&P's ready. You are ready. I am ready. Now all we need is a good night's sleep. We'll come back tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time in our trade room. Last full day, right? Last day of the week ahead of that Veterans Day holiday on Friday. Don't forget, the best way to learn this stuff and get started with this is to take that free trading course. That will give you a good roadmap to follow each day. So start there. I'll put all the links you need, the description of the video, or that link is up there in the upper right-hand corner. If you want to come out and trade along with me every morning in the morning trade room, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we open up every morning. I'll put membership links down there. And if you have any questions, any problems getting registered for the free course, the easiest way to get help is to call us, email, use live chat. I don't get to the comments in the comment section as fast as I would like to get to them. So if you need help, pick up the phone, call the office. We're not scary people. We're a small family-run business here, so please don't be afraid to call and ask for help or use that live chat on the right-hand side of the website. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here for now. Hope you learned a bunch here tonight. Hope you use this to make a killing on CPI Thursday. Don't forget, no video newsletter tomorrow night. I know I always hate leaving you guys hanging, but enjoy the Veterans Day holiday. If you are trading on Friday morning, be careful with that low volume. Go find a parade. Go find your favorite veteran. A very happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there. We appreciate each and every one of you. But that's it tonight, guys. That's it tonight. Get some rest. Enjoy your evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning in the morning trade room. If not, same time, same place. Not tomorrow night. We'll come back on Monday night after the holiday weekend. All right, guys. As always, be well, be nice to each other, and be here on Monday. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.